Alright, welcome back, everyone. If you're still with us, you're either incredibly brave or just can't look away, and I don't blame you. I'm here with folklorist and researcher Sarah Delaney, and we're diving deeper into the chilling legends of Skinwalkers. Sarah, right before the break, you mentioned something that's been sticking in my brain like a splinter. This idea that Skinwalkers might be older than humans.
Yes, and I know how that sounds. But stay with me, in some oral traditions, especially among certain Puebloan and Navajo groups, there's a belief that the first Skinwalkers weren't people at all, but spirits or entities that predate human society. They were the watchers of thresholds, shapeless, formless, and they became corrupted when people began tapping into dark rituals. Some say humans didn't create Skinwalkers, we woke them.
That's deeply unsettling.
It is, and it reframes everything, because now you're not just dealing with witches or dark practitioners. You're dealing with something older, something primal, something that understands how to unmake a soul.
We've gotten dozens of emails about missing people in remote places, not just in the Southwest, but up into Utah, Colorado, even Oregon, and I know we need to be cautious about connecting those dots. But do you think there's a connection?
It's hard to say definitively, but there are patterns: disappearing without a trace, no tracks, no signs of struggle, even search dogs refusing to enter certain areas, and in more than one case. There are reports from locals that strange lights, sounds, or figures were seen in the days leading up to the disappearance.
Figures like what?
Figures that don't quite fit the environment: tall, hunched, hairless, moving like animals but with human eyes, or worse, figures that looked like the person who disappeared, walking through the woods after the fact, but silent, expressionless.
That's horrifying.
It is, and again, I want to stress, not every case is supernatural, and we must respect the grief of those families. But folklore often preserves truths science hasn't caught up with or can't measure.
That reminds me, we got a story submitted from someone who worked as a fire lookout in Arizona, and they said for 3 nights straight, they saw what looked like the same man standing at the edge of the clearing below the tower. Just standing, unmoving, and on the 4th night, the man was gone. But when they looked at the security tape, the man never moved, not even once, and his eyes glowed when the light hit them.
I've heard versions of that before, and what stands out is the stillness. Human beings aren't naturally still. We shift, sway, blink, breathe. But when something is imitating a person, it doesn't always get those micro movements right. It's like watching a mannequin come to life.
We've talked a lot about what not to do, but I want to ask, is there anything you can do to help someone who's been targeted if someone thinks they're cursed or being followed?
First, they need to seek a traditional healer, someone from within the culture who understands the spiritual language of protection. Modern therapy won't work on something this old, and neither will denial. Sometimes they need to be spiritually cleansed, have protections placed in their home, and sometimes they have to move, literally relocate their life, because the land itself may be infected.
That word, infected, are Skinwalkers contagious in a metaphorical sense?
That's a good way to put it. Yes, their influence spreads like a rot, especially through fear and belief. They erode boundaries, turn dreams against you, isolate you from others, and once that happens, they test your will. If you give in, if you invite them, they can enter.
Let's talk about dreams. We've had several people describe recurring nightmares, same setting, same figure, often involving teeth, blood, or the sound of an animal breathing just out of sight.
That lines up with the idea that Skinwalkers invade from the threshold. And what's more liminal than dreams, there are stories of people waking up with scratches or dirt on their sheets with no memory of leaving the bed. Some people dream of walking in the desert barefoot under a red moon and wake up with sunburns.
Have you ever had one of those dreams?
Yes, and I won't describe it in detail, not here, but I'll say this: I didn't sleep alone for a week afterward, and I never visited that part of New Mexico again.
This is where we hit that strange line between psychological and spiritual horror, where you wonder if the fear itself is a kind of haunting.
Exactly, and that's what makes it so effective, because once you know about Skinwalkers, truly understand the layers, they stay with you, like a tune you can't unhear.
Before we wrap this segment, I want to ask about the ritual side of things. If someone wanted to become a Skinwalker, what would they have to do?
I don't like talking about that part, and I won't give details, but I'll say this. It always involves betrayal, often of family, and the act itself is meant to shatter the moral center, to prove that you're willing to destroy innocence for power. And once that's done, the person begins to change. Not just spiritually, but physically, it's irreversible.
Do they ever regret it?
Maybe at first, but they lose the part of themselves that can feel regret. The stories say once you cross that threshold, your soul doesn't come back.
Alright, we're going to pause again, but in our final segment tonight, we'll hear a chilling first-hand account from someone who grew up near Window Rock and saw something as a teenager that still haunts him. And Sarah's going to walk us through one of the oldest surviving oral legends of the first Skinwalker.
It's a story I've never told in public before, but I think it's time because people need to understand just how long this darkness has walked beside us.
This is the Unseen Hour. Stay with us and maybe keep the lights on.